Okay, we're back with BCL Lamb Cam. We haven't done this in a year. We've had a lot of people asking if we could do another one. So we decided that today we'd try to do a useful one that would talk about heat lamp safety, reasons to use a heat lamp, and things to look for to help prevent a barn fire. The reason we decided to do this is because I think it's really important. I know you can get a false sense of security using these Premier heat lamps because they have the cage over them, they're plastic, it looks like there's no way they could start a fire. So a lot of people feel really safe to use these, hang them in the pen with the use, and they think that they won't cause a fire, but they still can. And I want to show you some things that we've learned over the years to watch for to help prevent a fire, because the last thing we want to read is about somebody's barn burning down because of a faulty heat lamp that could have been prevented. So here we got your standard, the newer version Premier heat lamp bulbs. We hang ours with a chain. That way the sheep can't chew it off. Try to keep it up so it doesn't, fall down in the straw or shavings or whatever you're using. One thing we always notice, when they start to go bad, you'll see them hanging there and the lights will kind of flicker on and off, on and off. And what we've noticed is that's because it's not making a good connection. And that's when we need to start checking them even before we get to that point, because that's when we can start causing a fire. So this one was actually hung up in our barn today when I went and checked them all. And when I pulled the bulb out, that screws up in there, I found that the bulb has burn marks here on the end. And it actually has, if you look real close here, there's a hot piece of metal that burnt down off of here and fell on the side of this bulb. Also, the top of this is loose here because this has been burning on here. What happens, in my opinion, is this connection where it screws into there, when the sheep start smacking on it when it's hanging like this and they start moving it around, it starts to kind of spark in here and it doesn't make a smooth connection on the bulb. What that does is causes the ends of this to burn, which can cause a bunch of like a hot soot type material here that'll fall down. We've actually had it burn a hole through the side of these bulbs. So therefore, I just wanted to show this to people so you could look at this and see what to look for. If they get like this, you got to get them out of the pen. This could cause a fire, and the last thing we want to see is somebody have a barn fire. We use the 175 watt bulbs that are sold by Premier. This is one of the older style ones they had that were a tempered glass. If you look real close here, what they're supposed to look like, that would be it's kind of like a galvanized material, and that should make a smooth, even connection with the inside of that bulb. We'll put these two side by side so you can see the difference there. You got Stetson? Stetson's running the camera here today. He's pretty excited. He got a new tripod for Christmas. He's trying to hold the GoPro with his new tripod he got for Christmas there. But if you can see that, that's what we're looking for. We want to make sure to always use bulbs that have a smooth surface like that. Once that starts arcing across here, you can see where there was a bunch of hot soot. The edge of this bulb has some burnt material down around it, and it also dropped a piece like that down on there. Once they're like that, you want to throw these bulbs away and make sure to get a new one. The other thing, Brooks is really enjoying himself down there. The other thing, the other thing to look for, this is the old style Premier heat lamp. I know some guys like me probably still have some of these around from 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. If you look down in these, the issue they used to have with these, the two bolts that hold this baluster in that you screw into, sometimes this in here would get so hot from running a heat lamp for so many hours that this plastic in behind here would melt and this piece here would become loose. And if it becomes loose in there, or if you ever, just the best thing to do is to inspect these for how they were when they came new. If they're not the way they were when they came new, you don't want to use them anymore because it's not safe. And like I said, last thing we want is anybody to have a barn fire. So this one's still tight, that's why we're still using it. This one is the only one left I have of these old ones. Apparently this one was made really good because it's held up for a really, really long time. But the other thing to watch for, like I said, I think a lot of the times the U's bang on the side of these. That's why we try to only use them in the creep pens. That way the lambs, and we keep them up high enough that the lambs can't get to them. And there are a few things I talk about As far as heat lamps too, for young sheep producers that haven't raised lambs before, right now it's unseasonably warm in Pennsylvania and the Midwest, a lot of places. This is not a time to use a heat lamp on a baby lamb unless you have a chilled one. We always try not to use heat lamps unless we have to, due to the fact that there can be issues with it, especially if you have to hang one in a pen with a mother who can beat on it, could break that glass and could cause a barn fire. So we're always trying to make sure to give ours a chance to get up and get going. We use ours on small, weak lambs, triplets, ones that have a hard birth, ones that don't really want to get up fast. We'll leave them on them for 6 or 8 hours. And a lot of times we'll take the lamb's temperature first. If it's having a hard time keeping its body temperature up around 102, we'll put a heat lamp on it and run a blow dryer on it to keep it warm. We also use these, like right now we're turning lambs out of the jail at a rapid rate because we had 100 and some lambs born last week. And we'll put some of these in the creep pens. The lambs love to go to them. It gets them used to going in the creep pens, but we won't leave them on once they get older because I just think your risk is a lot higher than your reward at that time because those lambs are old and healthy, and I don't really think they need a heat lamp to stay warm unless it's below 0 or frigidly cold. I think that's all we wanted to talk about today, just to show you a couple of these things. Like I said, this bulb is the second one like this we've found in the last couple of days, so I wanted to show that to people so they could see it. One thing that I recommend is to change these regularly so they don't get to this point. But one thing you can look for to notice when they get to this point, if you walk in the barn and your heat lamp's not on, and you go and you jiggle it or screw the bulb in and out and it comes back on, what I recommend is shutting that thing down, screwing the heat lamp bulb out and checking it, because 9 chances out of 10 here we've seen that once they start flickering on and off, it's because this is burnt and it's not making a good connection. And to me, that's when you're asking for trouble with a barn fire. So this is our first lamb cam video from this season. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope everybody had a great Christmas and a good New Year. And we'll see everybody soon. Happy lambing.